Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Bella and I love all things design and DIY. I haven't done a sew with me video in quite a while, and I have a shirt that I've recently thrifted and I want to give it a little bit of an update. So I thought I'd do a quick thrift flip and show you two methods that I personally love using to kind of just revamp a piece and give it a little bit of a twist. These are really easy beginner methods. They're really great if you're just starting out sewing, or even if you just want a quick project and you don't want to invest too much time into something. These are really simple and really quick. The top in question is this beautiful green piece that I thrifted the other day. If this was just a little bit longer, this would be a really cute dress, but it doesn't quite fall to that length on me. A few things that I really love about this top. I love the fabric. It almost feels like muslin. It's 100% cotton, which is amazing. So I really like it. It's quite light. Oh, gauze. That's the word I was looking for. It feels like cotton gauze. This vertical detail that goes down the bust, I really love. I love the sleeves. They have a little elastic band, but it doesn't fit too tight, which is really nice. And I just absolutely love this color. A few things that I don't like about this top. Mainly just the length. It's a little bit too short to be a dress, like I said, but it's just a bit too long for me to like it on my body type personally. I like things to fall anywhere between my true waist and my hips. I wear a lot of high-waisted pants, so I like to be able to tuck things in nicely or have them fall just at where my pants start. So the number one thing that I'm gonna do with this top is shorten it. I'm gonna shorten it first, and then I'm gonna see how I like it. And if I wanna move on to step number two, which is to add a little bit of shirring on the sides. I think it would be really flattering, first of all, give this top a little bit more shape. This is a great method for updating any pieces that you already have in your closet or things that you buy from the thrift store. For me, I really like the feeling of loose clothing, especially in the spring and summer coming up. These kinds of pieces are like my ideal wardrobe to be gardening in, to be outside. So for a piece like this, I love the amount of fabric I have, and I love the way that it fits on me. It doesn't feel too tight at all, but sometimes you can benefit from a little bit of fitting in small places. So I think what I might do is place the shirring underneath each arm, basically, and that's just gonna help to give the top a little bit more shape, but it's still gonna hopefully keep its overall kind of fit. So let's get started. So I don't wanna just chop the bottom of this top off and hem it. I wanna use every piece of fabric so that I'm not wasting anything, and I also want to add a little bit of interest to the hemline. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut 2 strips off the bottom of this. So if I was just hemming this, normally I would cut off as much as I want and hem it straight across. But I'm actually gonna do that twice. So I'm gonna cut 1 small strip and then another small strip. And then I'm gonna combine those 2 pieces to make 1 big piece. And then that's gonna become a ruffle to go at the bottom of the top. I think it's gonna be a really cute accent. And again, it doesn't waste a single piece of fabric, which I absolutely love. So now we have our shortened top. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this strip in half, running all along the length. So I cut 10 inches off of the bottom of our top, and so now what we're gonna end up with is 2 5-inch strips to then connect together and make a ruffle piece that's double the length of our top, so that we get that really nice gather to create the ruffle. I have my 2 5-inch strips, and now what I'm going to do is just take 2 of the short sides, place them together and sew those. I do have 2 seams on this. You could cut those out if you want to because they're serged, and I'm not using a serger for this. I'm just going to have all of the seams in this ruffle that I'm sewing, I'm just gonna pink them and let them lay flat. So if you have serged edges that you want to cut out just so that they're sitting a little bit flatter and you don't have to sew over as much, then do that. But if you want to keep them, just make sure that both outer sides are facing each other, because you don't want to end up sewing this backwards, obviously. I wasn't being too exact. I think this ruffle is going to look very organic because I did not iron my fabric. Now we have this huge, oops, I didn't sew the other side together. Okay, do that on both sides. So make sure that you have a loop, basically, not just one continuous strip. So let me quickly sew that. I'm gonna use pinking shears again just to trim this. These are basically just zigzag scissors that stop your fabric from fraying. So now we have one big loop. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take my top here, and this is really helpful that this top already has 2 side seams, so we're gonna use those as our guides to line this up and make sure it's centered. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna find my side seams. I'm gonna use the side seams that are original to the top to start with as my guide. So I'm gonna line one of those seams up with one of the side seams on the top. So this is what it should look like. This is the bottom of the top. There's the top side seam, there's the ruffle side seam. They're sitting together, and then you're gonna pin that in place. So you can see that when you turn the top over, this is going to come down and be the ruffle. Obviously it looks very stupid not being attached, but you get the idea. So you wanna do the same thing with the other side seam. And since I'm working with a very long ruffle, I wanna be very careful that I don't twist it at all, and I'm just realizing I already made another mistake. That's great. I need to rip this out. Okay, hold on. I was just in the middle of warning you about not getting this ruffle twisted when I realized I had it completely twisted from the very beginning. So I just fixed that, and now we can move on to pinning the other side seam. This is where sometimes it's helpful to work with a fabric that's like a print or has a very clear front side and back side, because this fabric is exactly the same on both sides, so it's kind of impossible to know what you're doing if you don't pay very, very, very close attention. Okay, there we have 2 more side seams, so I'm just pinning these together. And now with the side seams that I created, I'm gonna line those up with the center of the front and the center of the back. It doesn't have to be exactly precise, but it is helpful to have them lined up as centered as you possibly can, just because that means that the gather is gonna be more even throughout the entire hem. So it's really helpful that this top has these seams so that I can just easily find the center, which is right there. I'm gonna pin it in place and then check that it is not twisted yet again. Okay, that looks good. That side looks good. Now onto the front. Find the center. 5, 6, 7. Center. Find the side seam. And plop that there. So this all looks evenly spaced out, and now what I'm going to do is continue to evenly pin everything. So for each section in between pins, we have this fabric. So you want to again keep finding the center point of your ruffle and attaching it to the center point of the top, and then keep working your way in, and you'll be able to see as you go along that it creates the gather kind of naturally. So you can see with the first section that I've gathered here, the more that you just keep centering your pinning, I kind of just tend to smush the rest of the gather together and pin it like that. There's a ton of different methods that you can use for gathering, but this is just what I do, and I don't need to be super accurate with it, and having it be completely perfectly gathered consistently around the whole hem. For this top, I really don't care. I would rather it look kind of organic anyways, so this is just the easiest way for me. I have my ruffle sewn on. Look at how adorable this looks. I am obsessed. However, I did realize that I don't have the right color of thread for this top. I'm not super anal about matching thread color perfectly. Most of the time I just work with white and black Gutermann thread because I like to just buy big spools of it so that I'm not really wasting thread if it's a very specific color. But I don't know if either of those will look very good with this top, so I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I have like brown that could be a better match, but it's quite old thread, and so I just don't really want to go through the trouble of sewing with it. I mean, I don't think it's gonna look that bad if I use white, but it might. It's a few days later and I managed to go out and find a thread color that was pretty similar to the fabric. Now I'm just hemming this top as I normally would most other things. I folded it over twice and put it on a straight stitch. I opted to not use the shirring on the sides of this top because I actually just like the way that it hung as is. But if you're interested in using elastic shirring, it's super easy. All you need to do is get some elastic thread, pop it in your bobbin, use regular thread for the top, put it on a straight stitch, and it gathers the fabric as you sew. And this is our final product. I absolutely love how it turned out. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know what you thought down below. Give it a like if it inspired you to update one of your pieces in your wardrobe. You can subscribe if you want to see more sewing content from me, and I will see you back here next time.